Greetings YouTube and welcome to the Blue Corner into a Cardfight deck profile. It's the moment you guys have been waiting for, and that is finally I have for you all a Dragonic Vanquisher deck profile featuring Sparking, Buster, Grizel, and pretty much the whole crew. I don't have my Helenas in the mail yet, but I'm not playing them in this list. I'll go into that in a bit. And yeah, so the thing about this is that this is by no means a finalized list. In fact, the thing about Vanquisher at the moment is I'm always tweaking this deck week by week by week. So while I'm posting up this list now, there's a very good chance it's going to change next week, and then the week after, and the week after. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you guys what I'm playing, while also listing off some options. And then when Link Joker come out, I'm going to be shooting another deck profile, because the fundamentals of this deck will change once that set drops, because I feel like with things, with Messiah and Chaos running around, stand triggers aren't going to be as useful as they were before, and I don't think we have to worry about getting rushed as much as we do right now, because Link Joker will naturally check Blasters and Battle Sisters, thus the need for cards like Martial Arts Dragon and Dragonic Death Scythe and 10Ks. Then again, you're not playing 10Ks right now, and I'll get into that in a bit, but Martial Arts Dragon and Death Scythe, if you decide to tech that for dealing with high aggressive decks, those aren't going to be needed, so we can play things like Helena, Grizel, and Shatra, and just go from there. So, yes, that's pretty much going to be the outline for this deck going forward. And then I also have a Sweep Command deck I'm going to be working on, and I'll be trying a couple twists on that. Sweep Command without Zillions, Sweep Commands with Zillions, and maybe Descendant with... maybe Vanquisher with Zillion. The idea being that if your board's locked down, you can just ride Descendant, stride Zillion, and threaten your opponent with a 6 checks. We'll see how that goes. So with that being said, let's dive into this. So I've already talked about many of these cards ad nauseum before, so I won't go too deep into what they do. But, yeah. Hopefully we can avoid this being a 20-minute video, but I'm sure that's not going to be the case, especially when Naras are involved. But anyway, I'm playing the same grade 3 lineup as before, so 4 Sparking, 1 Vanquisher, and 2 Sigma. The main deck, original Vanquisher, is pretty much just a local call. I have to deal with Nubatama here, and Vanquisher is useful for that particular matchup, as when they go from the Muujin lore play, you can impede Dragon, kill 2 things, Vanquisher becomes 6,000 power, and becomes 17,000. And barring some unusual circumstances, I don't think the rest of your rear guards are really going to do anything to you. So, he's there for that and other weak multi-poke decks, such as Aquas, but once set 13 comes out, and even then, like, maybe once the next set comes out, I'm probably just going to drop him entirely and just go with 3 Sigma, because Blue Wave, Marine General, whatever his name value is, kind of makes this guy's Generation Break 2 pointless, because we can't gain power on their turn anymore. And then for the Grade 2s, rocking the 4 Shatura and 4 Martial Arts Dragon. These 2, I'm now running Martial Arts Dragon again, as one of the issues this deck currently has to deal with is how incredibly aggressive decks are in the early game, particularly of the ZTP and Battle Sister variety. And Martial Arts allows you to punish your opponent for overextending by killing things. It also helps if you have to Grade 2 game by being able to re-ride, kill things, get another bind going. And he's just a solid attacker at Thunderstrike 2, which is of course piss easy to achieve now. He makes 18 columns with 14 as a particular note, and I am playing that. And then Shatra is in here because he is a solo attacker that can hit most Vanguards without the need of a booster, which is kind of a big necessity in the current format. And it's also why things like 10Ks are starting to see less plays, because we have things like the Battle Sister 12K attacker, Shatra, and Rewind Tiger, all able to hit 10K Vanguards with a booster, which kind of defeats the entire purpose of playing 10K Vanguards, which is forcing your opponent to call more cards down from their hand in order to attack your Vanguard and hit. So, as a result, this is kind of just not needed anymore, so we're back to running 9Ks with good effects. It's interesting to see how the Grade 2 lineups of decks have evolved over the course of the format. Although, I am giving Battle Sisters a lot of credit, and for all we know, they may not take off here in the same way they did in Japan, just because North America loves Shadow Paladins. And we might still have to deal with more Dolor decks over here, whereas Japan, not so much. But My final grade 2 is for Circular Blade of Strong Lightning Grizel, who, of course, has that rather sweet Thunderstrike 5 ability to be an 18 attacker for free, and then kind of +1 into Vanquisher Vanguard. You can punch the Vanguard into the rear guard, and then, of course, when she gets attacked or targeted by an effect, you force your opponent to bind one from the drop. And though that's my current grade 2 lineup right now, so there are some other options you can run in here. If you are really fearful of Battle Sisters and you think you're going to be seeing a lot of them, we can always run this guy, Desert Gunner Kojin. He appeared actually in the winning list of a Vanquisher deck that won Thailand. Oh, what was it? The BC something something? All I know is the guy played like 5 Battle Sisters, and this guy is fantastic tech deck because at Thunderstrike 2, when he appears on, he just gets plus 10,000 shield. It doesn't matter when he's placed on guard circle or when he intercepts. He's just a 15k guard, which is really nice when Battle Sisters are turning off your ability to use your zeros and G Guardians. Then you can just throw 2 of these things down, you have a 30k shield. So he can help you get you there, but I don't have to deal with Battle Sisters as prominently here, so I'm not playing him. And the problem I have also is by running this guy, I'd be running more or less 8k grade 2s that I would eventually have to ride, and that's definitely not fun. I talked about it briefly, but if you are also really concerned about your opponent just overwhelming you with early game rush, there's always Dragonic Death Scythe. Yes, he is expensive. Counterblast 2 in 2017, that's super hefty. However, the fact is, he is Vanguard or Rearguard, he's not Generation Break, and he can kill just about anything because we're starting to see more decks called grade 3s to the front row, so that the statement's like invalid, but this guy can hit grade 2s, grade 1s, and starters. And being able to hit your opponent's starter, that's actually pretty damning considering the matchup. And imagine this, your opponent calls a unit to the front and their Vanguard, and they push you to 3 damage because their side attacked and they hit a crit on the Vanguard, or you weren't able to block all of it, whatever. You're at 3 damage. You ride Martial Arts Dragon, Counter +1, Soul +1, ping off the rear guard, and then you countercharge with your Hard Rod, and then you call Death Scythe and kill their starter. Actually, so you only would need 2 Counterblasts for that play, but if you have 3 Counterblasts in the Martial Arts, then you can always just ride Death Scythe, kill their rear guard, because they didn't want to throw anything into the drop zone for your Hard Rod. Then you can rest Hard Rod, bind their rear guard, their unit from the drop zone, then call Shatura down and immediately threaten with that. And I should note that Shatura is really good at baiting your opponent into putting cards in the drop zone, because one of the things that's actually annoying for this deck is when your opponent doesn't put cards in the drop zone, therefore your stride turns are kind of underwhelming because you aren't able to get to a high Thunderstrike count. You ideally want to get to Thunderstrike 4 after first stride, but if they don't really call anything up to the front, they just go Vanguard and like no guard once or twice, like that could actually be kind of a pain in the ass. But rushing your opponent down with these cards will help deal with that by forcing your opponent to guard, or they take too much damage and they risk dying. But so we have that, and what is it? Yeah, the other card I guess I should talk about is why I'm not playing Plasmatron Dragon. The problem I have with Plasmatron Dragon is that he's not better than these cards, so I'm not running him for more or less that reason. Like, he's useful, but at the same time, these cards just put in more work than this guy does. As, like, the problem I have also with him is that, yes, he gets big and scary, but your rear guards get big and scary during your Voltage and Closer Dragon turns anyway, so just adding on another 10,000 or 20,000 power is redundant when your rear guards are already at PG or hit territory. I don't know. I feel like maybe like once in a blue moon, your opponent will have to like throw down all the cards in their hand just to block a super big Plasmatron Dragon, but I just feel like aside from like that one or maybe other time, these cards will be better. Now granted, if Grand Blue ever becomes a really top meta deck again, like granted Night Rose is still like low tier 1, tier 1.5, and she might see a resurgence in play once Rosal Night Rose comes out, then this will be more useful for getting binds when your opponent's not putting anything on the board, but at the moment I just don't feel like he's needed. And then that's it for the 2s. So for the 1s, I'm running pretty much the same lineup as before. So 4 Dragon Dancer, Summoning Lightning Dancing Princess Anastasia, 4 Mighty Bolt Dragoon, 4 Smashbox with Dragon, card's kind of good, and 2 copies of Dragon Dancer 14. So I'm not main decking the Helena because I wanted to focus more on the early game aggression, and Helena's Generation Break 1 makes it a bit of a liability. However, I still am running 14 for extra draw power. She's not Generation Break restricted, and she's actually able to hit some numbers. Like this makes 18, so that's a good number. You throw on like the 3k buff off of VBUSTER's Persona Flip skill, that's a 21 line, alright. She's also a unit with the Thunderstrike ability, so at the very worst, you can swing with this for 13, and your opponent can't do anything with it to G-Guard, so they can't dominate this with their 1G Guardian or retire Griffin. And with VBUSTER's Generation Break 3, she becomes an 11 attacker, so this would actually be a 18 line. So, yeah. I'm not much else I can really say. Like, Narukami is a clan that desperately needs extra draw power where I can get it, and 14 helps with that. And it's why I'm also running the Traeger lineup that I'm running, and which is Rainbow Heals, and it's the 4 you would expect. So, 4 of the Meditate Draco Kid, 4 Resef, 4 Vian. I'll talk about her in a second. And 4 of any draw trigger. I am, of course, a fan of Blue Gem Carbuncle, the best draw triggers. Sorry, new chicken that's coming up in this set for Eradicators, but Carbuncles, whenever I can, will be the triggers that I run. But anyway, so about this lineup. So I'm playing draw triggers because I'm not main decking Helena, and I want the ability to have extra draw whenever I can. Draws help in this deck. Being able to maintain your hand while being able to push is a very important part of the format, and it's what many of the top decks are going to be doing, as you will soon find out. VN is still here and here because you can run the Eradicator stand trigger that countercharges, but since I'm running double Hard Rod Draco Kid, I have the option to proc this every once in a while. It's not going to be as frequently as you could before in the old Vanquisher list, but she's still a stand trigger that cycles herself back into the deck, gets a countercharge, and then shoot a draw, which is really useful in this particular time. However, when the new set drops and we have Chaos and Messiah going everywhere, this is going to get cut in favor of just more crits. And then the other cards are pretty straightforward. And then, as I alluded to before, I'm running 2 Hard Rod Draco Kid. The first Hard Rod Draco Kid is what it's going to do. The second Hard Rod Draco Kid is basically like this. If I draw it early game, then I can use them to get some more binds off, and maybe accelerate how quickly I can get the certain Thunderstrike conditions, because if you can get the Thunderstrike 7 off first stride and you already G-guarded, that's actually pretty fantastic. Like, I've actually contemplated going, okay, I am going first with this deck because I want to be highly aggressive, but like I'm at the point where I almost actually don't mind not doing the grade 2 gaming, just so I can ride the 3 and G-Guard so I can get to Generation Break 3 and Thunderstrike 7 on first strike. Granted, that's because I'm also the kind of person who always draws his heals even after Mulligan, because I always draw heals. But the other thing about Hard Rod is that both of his abilities are not Gen Break restricted, so this effectively makes the second one a 10k shield that's a Rock Climb Dragoon that also buffs a unit and also goes into the soul. So, in addition to just being extra binding, he's just a shield that kills something and will proc Vian. Although, if you don't want to play the double Hard Rod, you can cut one and either run an extra copy of Grizel or another grade 3. But this is the lineup that I've chosen to work with, and I've been pretty pleased with the results. So we will pack these up and move over to the extra deck. Alright, so G-Zone is fairly straightforward, we'll see. It is 4 VBUSTER, your first and mid-game stride, but your finishers are going to be Voltage. I'm still running the 4 right now, but this will go to 2 next set, because we are playing the stands. And Voltage with stands is pretty dumb. Voltage with Sigma is incredible. No, yeah, he's really stupid. 1 VMAX, just to get your opponent if they decide to leave themselves with no open board. 1 Closer Dragon. And then at this point, you can go 1 or 2 routes with your extra deck. If you don't want to play Sabreeze, you can play a Voltex Zapper, which is what I'm doing, because I feel like we can still decently grade 2 game, as with the exception of Martial Arts Dragon and okay, Vian too, but like the thing is 14 and Anastasia, Grizel, Shatara, and even Vanquisher's Thunderstrike 4, they're not Gen Break restricted, and as a result, I'm going to be going with this guy for his ability to clear the board if I absolutely need to like wipe the board and I don't want to like get screwed over by my opponent like guarding something. Like, he's just mass board wipe in the scenario where I don't really have much else to do, but Sea Breeze is an option. I like the fact that this has got another Thunderstrike unit, and sometimes just going with the Buster is just not going to do it. Conceivably speaking, if you can get the Thunderstrike 4 pre-attack phase, then Voltec Zapper gets to kill 2 things as opposed to Buster killing 1 thing, getting to Thunderstrike 4. And then for the G-Guards, it's 2 MP Dragon, 1 Bulwark, 1 Brahma, and 1 Dismal for the mirror. Brahma, I'm playing over the second Bulwark because being able to just have a pretty easy to achieve plus 10 shield is something I like having. It makes it so if I go first and I have the G-Guard play, I can just Brahma, bind 2, which helps sets up Closer Dragon just a little bit more and puts me at Generation Break 3, while also just being a big shield, and then Bulwark can just kill a thing. But I think next set I might just switch to double Bulwark. We'll see. And yeah, if you don't have to worry about the mirror match or just, yeah, the mirror match, then you can cut this for an Algleam or another Bulwark. Both will work. So that's the deck in a nutshell. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And as far as my thoughts on the deck and where it places, I'd say in the Pokemon terms it would be equivalent to borderline tier. It's not quite yet at the top. It's still missing like 1 or 2 things to really just push it over the edge, but it's very close. The issue is the aforementioned lack of an early game and how weak we can be pre-striding. And while Buster is an amazing first stride, he's not a bonkers first stride as opposed to what you can do with, say, Avenir Phoenix, or Split Pegasus, or a really good Doom turn, if you know what I mean. But once the deck gets rolling, then it becomes quite the force. So with that in mind, if you're up against a deck like Battle Sisters, ZTB, and Blasters, just really be mindful of how aggressive they like to play and plan appropriately. Because if you can survive their early pushes, you have a chance. And against like the decks that play at your speed or slower, then you're gonna have a good time. Vanquisher has always been a very aggressive control deck. It's not like Blade Master where you want to slowly whittle away your opponent and then just go for the kill. Vanquisher, it can get you if you are paying proper attention, and it also has a bit of a win button in the form of VMAX, who I forgot to actually list alongside all my foils, so there we go. So here's all of Vanquisher's forms. So like VMAX still exists, and your opponent has to keep that in the back of my mind, because if they end up ending their turn with no board, they're at Thunderstrike 5, and they're at 5 damage, I'm going for this. And short of you hitting that Miracle Heal trigger, guess what? You're already dead. And yeah, I'm really hoping that over the course of the season we'll get a new Vanquisher Grade 3 if the Asha is any indication. And of course the Stargate booster is also any hint. So I don't know what this new Vanquisher could do, but I think it's possible. It'll probably have a good rearguard skill to complement Sparking, because I think Sparking is our best Grade 3 by far. And whatever this supposed third form Vanquisher Grade 3 will do, it has to be really powerful to make me not want to run Sparking as my main Grade 3. So we'll see when we get there. I have a suspicion that Naros will appear in set 14 or 15, just given the circumstances of the plot of the anime. Given that what's happening with Shion and Rin, I think Hanri's going to do something, and that something's going to involve having a new Vanquisher Grade 3, and perhaps maybe a new Stride. I don't know. At the very least, please give me a G-Guardian that forces my opponent to bind cards from the drop zone, and then it gets power plus X thousand for every X cards your opponent's bind zone. Please, Bushiroad. Okay, thanks, bye. Also, next time Naros gets a port, for the love of God, don't do Eradicators again. We've had like, what, 4 sets of support, and it's been Eradicator. Give freaking Vermilion some love. Give Brawler something. See what they're doing with Overlord? Good have a Kaiser. Come on. You've already got a good base. You've got Warning as a good finisher. Just in Crown Holder Dragon. Just give us some more things. I saw that Burning Horn Dragon retrain. Give me a Dusty Plasma Dragon that does bonker things too. Anyway, that's another topic in itself. So again, thank you guys for watching. And as for what you can see next on the channel, Sweep and ZTB are on my chopping block. So whichever one of those comes out first will determine what comes out afterwards, and then hopefully by then I can just wait for the new set 13 stuff to appear on CFA and then start testing Overlords and try and see how I like that deck. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, this is VBUSTER89, Jack and Cows.
お前はもう死んでいる。何？もう匠でギゼブ。